Welcome back everyone, I'm Eric from Kricketune, and today we finally have translations in the full set reveal of most of the cards that are going to wind up being in our battle style set in just a couple months from now. This is going to be the single strike and rapid strike sets that are in Japan. These are one of their sets where they kind of break into two different mini sets, and then whenever we get them, they usually just get combined into whatever main set that we have here. But yeah, the battle styles mechanic is definitely, I think, one of the more exciting new additions that has been made to the game since the Sun and Moon era. And now we have finally all of the cards revealed for this new mechanic to see. Hopefully it will be pretty interesting. So I have not actually looked through this set just yet. The only cards I have seen have been the ones that have been, revealed ahead of this whole set. So by and large, this is going to be my first impressions, meaning that I'm not probably going to go as in-depth on some of my thoughts as what you would see in our full-blown set reviews, because I'm going to have to comb through the card pool, see all of the different combinations of cards and ideas that these things might have. So these are going to be my first impressions, just kind of more surface level impressions, and I'll have much more in-depth thoughts in my full set review whenever that does drop. And we still don't know all of the cards that are going to be in battle styles. I think there's a good chunk of cards that are unaccounted for, so I'm not probably going to make our full set review right away. We do need to still kind of wait and see some of the other stuff that might make it into our full set, but that's a whole other topic. But yeah, let's hop in here. Before we do though, of course guys, smack that like button and subscribe to the channel, ring that bell, that way you guys can get notifications whenever my newest video does go up. But let's hop into single strike. This is going to be the first of the two mini sets kind of. So it looks like we have a Kricketune here. It says Thorny Punch. If it has any dark energy, does 70 more damage. Nothing too special there, unfortunately. Durant, okay. So Devour for each Durant in play. Discard the top card of your opponent's deck. That's what I'm talking about. So the old Durant back from Noble Victories had this same attack. Granted, it was for a metal energy, and Durant was metal. This is actually a bit worse, being two colorless, meaning we have to abuse something like Twin Energy. I mean, right now we do still have things like Cocoa Prism to, cheat extra energy in play if we do need to get a Durant powered up out of nowhere. But this is really cool to see this sort of mechanic come back. I'm definitely excited to, I don't know if excited is the right word, but I'm curious to see if we can get this Durant deck sort of functioning like the old one. Off the top of my head, we are missing something like Rotom Dex or Gladion to manipulate your prize cards in case you prize Durant. So that might be an issue for this in terms of being an actual viable deck. But nevertheless, I mean, I think it's cool. I definitely want to experiment with this, see if we have a shot at revitalizing that old archetype. Alright, so we got Flapple V and VMAX. I am a big fan of the Appleton Flapple evolution line, so I hope these are good. Do like the art on this guy, looks pretty nice. So Sour Saliva 20. During your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon's attacks cost 2 more. Okay. And then 120. So this first attack, actually not horrible. Just being, on a pre-evolution, before you evolve into your Flapple VMAX, having an attack like this that might save this guy from a knockout can be good. Now granted, the big disadvantage this has to your opponent can just switch out of this, because as soon as your opponent's active leaves the active spot, effective attacks are going to be reset. So there is a chance your opponent just breaks out of this anyways. But nevertheless, like I said, you kind of just want to stall for a turn until you can safely evolve. And so that could be good. So we have Flapple VMAX here. 320 HP, Fire Weakness, 3 Retreat. Okay, it says for grass, 2 colorless, 250, and does 10 less for each damage counter on this Pokemon. So 250 is fine. It does one-shot Zacian V, which is actually really important because minus 30 from Zacian's resistance is exactly 220. So it's good for that. You also knock out Pikarom, okay, so that seems kind of decent too. Kind of seems okay. Just the big question is, what are you going to pair with this? I think this card is a little bit flexible because, I mean, it's grass. Obviously, you can play Rillaboom, but because it's 2 colorless, that opens up things like Triple Excel, or even Welder, as weird as that would be with a Fire Weak Pokemon like this. So that could be an option as well. Now again, 250 That's only if it doesn't have any damage counters on it. So, I mean, if your opponent gets like some chip damage in preemptively on this thing, then, you know, you're going to be in kind of a bad spot, I do have to say. I don't know. Doesn't seem great. Like, it doesn't seem awful either. I mean, the fact that you two-shot everything, but you one-shot Zacian V, that's the big thing. So maybe this card has some potential, but just at a glance, I don't know. It doesn't blow me away, I'll say that, though. So we got Entei, a pretty sweet art on the homie Entei over here. See, 30 attached fire from hand to this Pokemon, then 90 burn, so nothing too great there. Okay, so we do have Emboar, and this is, I think this is the first of our single strike Pokemon. I don't think any of these others have been single strike just yet. No. Okay, so if you guys have not been sort of following this new mechanic closely, basically the new thing with this set is a lot of these cards will either say single strike or they will say rapid strike up at the top right hand corner, and this will give these Pokemon certain bonus effects. Certain cards will buff them in some way, so we'll have to keep a lookout for cards that do have this logo here going forward. So Emboar says single strike Pokemon's attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So this is a good ability, and it does stack too, which is really nice. But being a stage 2 is a little bit unfortunate. Like, being a stage 2 that just sits on your bench right now is pretty unfortunate. So I don't know how much I like Emboar, but we do have the what is it? It's like a pseudo Maxie's Hidden Ball reprint, Hidden Ball Trick reprint in this set, so that can maybe help get Emboar out. But I definitely don't like the idea of evolving manually. I'll say that. So if Emboar sees play, it won't be through, I think, traditional evolution means with rare candy and stuff like that. But plus 30 is actually good. So we have Salazzle and Salandit. So Salazzle, this one did get revealed pretty recently. It's 90 for each special condition. So this is actually a really good multiplier. Like, we've seen attacks like this in the past, but I think one of the issues is their damage multipliers for each special condition has been a little bit shy of where they need to be, but 90 times is actually great because 2 special conditions is 180, which is fine. And a lot of times the extra conditions are going to be things like burn or poison, being able to rack up even more damage. But we also have let's see, there is a new Weeping Bell. I'm pretty sure it's in the next set. We'll have to check that one. But I think that one, when you evolve into them, it makes them burned and poisoned. And so from there, we can play Team Yellhorn, is that what's called? Or Yellhorn, to do Confusion as well, which gets us up to 270. So if you get all 3 special conditions, plus burn, plus poison damage, that's going to be 300. And if you have something like Toxicroak, which I know we're getting a little bit clunky at this point, but if you have something like Toxicroak, you can even buff that poison to go up to 320. So there is a world where you can scale high enough to one-shot VMAXs with this, which is actually kind of interesting. So this is, I don't think Salazzle here is actually a bad card. We've got Electivire. Have not seen this card, but given the history of Electivire, I'm guessing this card's about to be terrible. Because for whatever reason, they don't like giving Electivire good cards. Let's see, flip coin, 60 plus 30, so not good. Then 180, can't use attack during its next turn, also not good. So you got Tapu Koko V and VMAX. These also did get revealed ahead of time, I do remember. But Koko V 40, and then the other one's 40 plus 20 for each energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon. So this could be a decent like hitter against something like Scorch decks, maybe. Let's see, if they have 5 energy in play, that's gonna be what, 220? So that's okay. I mean, I feel like just most of the time the other Tapu Koko is generally going to be better. So yeah, I mean, the other one has free retreat, and the other one has an attack that draws you cards for 1 energy. So this one's fine for a pre-evolution for a VMAX, but I think we would probably just rather play the Sword and Shield base set, Tapu Koko V, if we have the choice. But I do like the art; it does look nice at the very least. But we do have Koko VMAX here, which is cool because a lot of these, it's kind of nice to see these old Pokemon V that didn't evolve previously now get buffed even more. Like Koko V is already a solid card on its own, but now that can evolve, I think that's really nice. So 320 HP, 1 attack here, does 180. If you have more prize cards remaining than your opponent's active is now paralyzed. So while I do like this attack, and I really do like that we're getting attacks like this that do reward you for being a little bit slower and you know, behind in the prize exchange and being able to catch up to your opponent. The issue is right now in the current format, you know, Switch is being played in very high counts in every deck. I mean, most decks play 3 to 4 Switch. So as a result, the paralysis right now at least is not very good, I don't think. So yeah, I mean, this is the card that could definitely change though. You know, if the format does get to a point where it relies more on things like Air Balloon as opposed to Switch, then a card like this gets a bit better. But for the moment, a lot of times this is just going to be 180 and that's it. So as a result, not a big fan of Kricketune VMAX. So we got Yamper and Bolton, another couple cards that did get revealed early, so I am a little bit more familiar with these. But Yamper has the fetch the ball ability. That's such a cool, like, I just thematically love this ability because it's a puppy. You know, you get to play catch with it. But it says once during your turn, when you play this card from your hand onto your bench, put 1 Pokeball and 1 Great Ball from your discard pile into your hand. So yeah, just a really cool mechanic. Really like this. No matter how it does competitively, I think that's just such a creative idea. So but beyond that, this is actually pretty good. This can be not only a consistency booster for your deck. Like, I could see this being played in something like Mad Party. Maybe this, I think, could easily slot into there as like a one-of. But there is a Galarian Mr. Rhyme. I'm pretty sure that's the Pokemon that does more damage when it discards ball cards from your hand. So no doubt that it's going to be sort of like a budget deck people are going to experiment with. So Yamper is unfortunate that it does specify Pokeball specifically. I really wish this would have said you may put 1 item card with the word ball in its name back into your hand. I think that would have been much preferred, but nevertheless, I do still like Yamper. We got Bolton here. Let's see. Corner for 30. Can't retreat, so nothing too good there. We just said switches in every deck, so this attack not too good. But second attack, 2 lightning colorless, does 130. This Pokemon has any damage counters on it. Attack is 1 lightning. Okay, so that's actually pretty good. Not great, but decent, because if you're playing something like a Spiritomb deck with Jinx, then you could just move a damage counter to your Bolton, and now you can attack for 1 lightning to do 130. So that's actually a pretty decent damage to energy ratio. Now, does Spiritomb need Bolton in the deck? I'm not convinced of that, so I don't think you're building around, especially since we don't have Electro Power. You know, things would look a little bit differently if that was the case, but yeah, I'm not particularly crazy about this. You know, maybe if we get some good Lightning Weak VMAXs or Pokemon V that see a lot of play. Like, I mean, we have Cramorant, but that's indexed as like a one-of when it does see play. So this is a cool card. I don't think this is really good out the gate, though. Let's see, we have Grumpig. Haven't read this card. I'm just going to assume it's bad. Because, oh my, ooh. Man, that art is disgusting, and not in a good way. That is so bad. Maybe I'm just not a man of taste, but I think this art is so ugly. Holy crap. Anyways, I'm assuming Grumpig's bad. Grumpig's like always bad, unfortunately. See, Pokemon's now confused for yeah. Straight, flaming, hot garbage. Chime Echo. Kind of nice art. It's like, I feel like it's a similar sort of hand-drawn style as Grumpig, but actually not awful. But it says, minor errand running, search your deck for 2 basic energy, put them into your hand. Other attack, just put your opponent to sleep, so not very good there. Once during your turn, you may move 1 damage counter from one of your Pokemon to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Okay, so that's actually pretty nice. Looks like damage counter manipulation, it does seem to be kind of a theme in this set so far. We'll have to see if maybe there's like some Pokemon V or VMAX that this synergizes with in some way, but I guess you could play this with Flapple VMAX, technically. Doesn't seem great there, but yeah, I mean, there was actually an old Meowstic EX back from, what, Generations, that did see like minor fringe play in the old Gyarados deck from Ancient Origins, like for like a regional or two. So, I mean, this effect is like, it has seen success in the past. Yeah, we'll have to keep looking at the rest of the cards here, but I mean, moving 1 damage counter frequently is the difference between, you know, a 1-shot and a 2-shot. So there is a world where this could see play, especially if you get multiple of these in play and you can do multiple damage counters each turn. Yeah, there might be something here. This is a card we'll have to keep in mind as we go through the rest of this set, I think. So we got Mimikyu V. This is another one that did get revealed early, but I do forget what it does. So once during your turn, when you play this card from hand onto your bench, until the end of your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks of your opponent's Pokemon. So that's actually a really good ability. So as soon as you put this guy down and play, he's going to be immune for a turn. And then put 3 damage counters on your opponent's active for each prize card your opponent has taken. So that's actually pretty cool. This looks to be kind of like a card you just slap down. Your opponent's down to 1 prize. You slap this guy down, put a ton of damage counters on your opponent's active. They can't hit you for a turn, and now you can, do this attack again. So one of the issues with cards, kind of like this in the past, like thinking like Shaman EX back from Next Destinies as an easy example, or even the Double V that we have now. They're very good in the late game. You slap them down, do a bunch of damage, but then your opponent can still sometimes just knock you out either way and just wrap up the game. So Mimikyu's ability is actually really cool. This does kind of force your opponent to have a boss's orders or something like that. And being just one single psychic energy here is really good as well. So I do like this. I think this card is pretty cool. So if your opponent has taken 5 prizes, you're doing 150, right? I wish this was put 3 anywhere. That would definitely be a bit better. As a result, yeah, that makes me like this a good bit less because your opponent can just retreat potentially. Still, nevertheless, I think this is a card that has potential. So keep your eye on this one. So we got Primeape. I do remember this was a card that was seeing some hype. So it's another one of the single strike Pokemon. We got Field Crush, discard a Stadium in play, and then Frenzy Bomb. 50 for each of your bench Pokemon with any damage counters on them. So yet again, more of this damage manipulation stuff that we see here. So double fighting energy is a little bit of a bummer. We do still have Karate Belt though, so I mean, there's a world where that does kind of work out for us. But yeah, 50 times multiply for this is actually really solid because, you probably just play this with Spiritomb, to be honest. I guess you could play Donphan. Yeah, the issue is if you're playing Donphan, you're not going to be able to really attack the Primeape until like turn 3 at the earliest, so Spiritomb is probably just going to be a little bit better. So if all 5 of your bench Pokemon have damage counters, you're getting 250, which is still respectable. Now, I forget the single strike support cards like the stadiums and trainers, and I think the single strike energy does increase your damage by 20. So that's important to point out. That means we can one-shot tag teams. Again, don't quote me on that. We'll see that once we get down to the trainer cards, but this definitely seems like a card that has some potential because we do have Spiritomb and Jinx right now to easily sort of set up this whole thing. So Primeape, I actually do really like this. This is definitely one of the cards I'm eager to sort of try out the most here that we've looked at thus far. So yeah, this seems like it does have potential, and we'll have to keep this in mind once we do get down to some of the other like single strike support Pokemon. So we've got Colossal here, stage 2. They just won't stop showing Colossal love. This card's gotten like a new card in almost every new Sword and Shield set so far. 180 HP, so very, very tanky. It's got 4 retreats, so buff padding actually buffed this guy to 220. That's actually pretty impressive for just a 1-prizer. Let's see, Coal Cannon. Flip a coin for each energy, attach this Pokemon, 90 for each heads. Not crazy about that. If we have 4 energy on average, we're only hitting 180. I'm sorry, 180. Doesn't seem that good, but its second attack for 4 energy does 250 to itself. Not a big fan of this. You can't even one-shot Zacian unless you have something like Dojo in play. Yeah, not my favorite. I'd rather, if we're going to do 200, I think Primeape that we just looked at is actually just a good bit better than this. So, big thumbs down for me. So you have Stonjourner, another single strike Pokemon here. And I do like the art on this. This is actually one of my more favorite artists that we have in the TCG. But let's see what it does. 30 plus 30 if there's a stadium, not great. And then Giga Hammer 120. Yeah, not a big fan of this guy. Next up, we have Urshifu V and VMAX, some of the big mascots of this set. So Urshifu V, search your deck for up to 2 fighting energy, attach them to this Pokemon. Okay, so that is definitely solid. Impact Blow, just a vanilla 180, but yeah, Laser Focus, this is actually a really solid attack for a pre-evolution. I like this. So especially if you're going second on your first turn, great attack to lead the game with. then we have Single Strike Urshifu VMAX. 100. We can't use triple excel with this, so that's worth pointing out. I imagine we're probably not, but that is just something to throw out there at least. But then Gmax 1 below 270, discard all energy from this Pokemon. Damage isn't affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. Okay, so again, we do need to keep this in mind when like looking at the trainers and energy to see how that sort of stacks up with this thing and how that might affect its playability. 270 is a good number to hit for because you can one-shot everything outside of ADP, but I mean fighting is a good type for that anyways because we have Dojo to do that. So if you're behind on prizes with Dojo, it's 310. And if you have Vitality Bands, 320. Then again, I'm pretty sure that the Single Strike energy does increase damage as well. So yeah, this guy can actually basically one-shot anything in the game, which is pretty good. Now again, the issue is that you do discard all of your energy. So we need a way to get this thing powered up again on the next turn. The only thing I can really think of is going to be like Colossal. Yeah, we're going to need something else to get this guy set back up. But it does have one-shot potential on anything in the format, which is pretty sweet. So really hoping that we have something in the set that can accelerate energy as well. I want to say there was something, but I forget if it was for Rapid Strike Pokemon or Single Strike. So we'll have to see which it's going to be. But if we do have a way to get this guy powered up in a single turn, things get a lot more interesting. So yeah, we're going to have to keep this guy in mind. Or actually, we could even use Capsule or Memory Capsule because doing 180 on the next turn until, like, we can actually get 3 energy on this guy in one turn, but getting 4 is the tough thing. So if we play Memory Capsule, we can just use Impact Blow. And Impact Blow specifies you can't use this attack in particular. You can still use others on the following turn. So I do kind of like that. So yeah, these cards definitely have potential. Being able to one-shot anything in the game, or the potential to, is really, really solid. So, and luckily Dragapult VMAX doesn't even one-shot you, so that's something to keep in mind. Yeah, I think this card is definitely pretty wild. We just need to see if there's a way to power it back up. So again, another card to keep in the back of our mind as we're looking through the set. So we got the Crobat evolution line, another evolution line that did get revealed early, but the Golbat, whenever you evolve into it, you draw 2, and then Crobat, whenever you evolve into it, you draw 3. Not a big fan of this though, just because Manectric from Vivid Voltage does the same thing as Crobat, and it's a stage 1. So unless you're a deck that specifically wants this entire evolution line, like if you're Eternatus, obviously this makes sense over Manectric since you can't play non-dark Pokemon in a deck like that. So maybe you play this in Eternatus just as like a turbo consistency version of the deck. You just concede, hey, we don't have space for the Zigzagoons, the Scoop Up Nets, any of that. We're just going to go all in on consistency and make sure every card that we play on our bench is going to draw us cards, which doesn't seem horrible either. You know, we'll have to see how it goes. But yeah, I'm not initially a big fan of this. I think Eternatus is really the only place for this, because even outside of Eternatus, we still have Inteleon from Sword and Shield, where Drizzile can search your deck for any trainer card, and Inteleon can get multiple. And I think those cards are generally going to be better than this, because even though these draw you more cards total, being able to search for any trainer card with Drizzile or Inteleon is better most of the time, because you can usually use that trainer card to find anything you want in your deck. So I personally would rather have search my deck for any card than just draw 2 random ones or draw 3 random ones. So yeah, basically you're playing this in Eternatus or you're not playing it at all. So not sure if that's going to be good enough, but so we have our very first non-V Galarian Slowbro. Do kind of like the art there, kind of funny. Let's see, both active are poisoned. Then if this Pokemon is affected by a special condition, does 120 more. It's kind of awkward because off the top of my head, I'll have to look back through the card pool, but one of the only ways at putting a status condition on your own active is with Yellhorn, and Confusion's not an effect you want on yourself if you're trying to attack. You know, we can live with things like Burn or Poison, but anything like Sleep Paralysis or Confusion, we really don't want, because now you've turned your attack into a coin flip. So not a big fan of this guy. Okay, we have a Honchkrow. Pokemon can't be asleep. Then if your opponent's active as any special energy, does 80 more. Okay, so this actually can like one-shot Dragapult, which is I guess interesting to point out. Probably really not too good other than that. And even still, we have other things like Spiritomb that can already put a big dent into Dragapult. So, and this ability is pretty pretty worthless, I do have to say. There's nothing that's going to really put this guy asleep, so not too great. Okay, so next up we have Houndoom. Another single strike Pokemon. Did we miss any single strike Pokemon? I wasn't paying too much attention. Okay, no, so Urshifu was the last one we saw. So we got Houndoom. Very cool art here. I do like that a lot. We got single strike Roar. You may search your deck for a single strike energy and attach it to one of your single strike Pokemon. Okay, so here's our energy acceleration that we've kind of been talking about. If you attach energy, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. So you can now start to see why all of these cards have been revolving around damage counters and stuff like that. Now, very curious, was Flapple single strike? I don't think it was. Okay, it was not, but also had like the damage counter sort of based attack. So I just wanted to double check on that. So this could actually help set up Urshifu again on future turns. So if we have 2 Houndoom in play plus Urshifu, that's 4 damage counters. I don't know how much I like that. This definitely seems good with Primeape though. That's where I definitely like this. But with Urshifu, maybe, I don't know, maybe this is still good. It just depends on what numbers our opponent's hitting, because if they're hitting for like, what, 280 or something like that on us, or something around there, this could get a little bit sketchy in terms of maybe knocking out your own Urshifu potentially, which would be horrible. So yeah, I'll have to experiment with that and see, but Houndoom definitely seems really good, especially as we keep getting more and more of these single strike Pokemon. Like I said, with Primeape in particular, this seems really good. Probably just play like a 1-1 line, maybe a 2-2, but I'm thinking probably a 1-1. Just because you can only play 4 single strike energy in total in your deck. But yeah, this is a thumbs up for me. Definitely a solid card. We do have Tyranitar V. No Tyranitar VMAX. I'm actually very surprised by that, since Tyranitar does seem like a card that usually gets a lot of love in the TCG and gets representation anytime there's a new mechanic. But let's see what this guy does. Single strike card yet again. Craglanch. Discard the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck. Not big on that, but 240 on second attack. I mean, okay, I guess, but I don't think Houndoom is enough to get this guy up and running. I think you would need something like Hydreigon instead if you wanted to. I mean, Tyranitar can knock out Zacians, and with single strike energy, it can one-shot tag teams, which isn't bad. But 4 energy, I think there's just probably like, I think there's probably easier ways to do the same amount of damage that Tyranitar has here, so probably not very good. We got Morpeko. This is a card that got revealed several weeks ago, but I do remember liking it. So choose an item from your discard, reveal, put it into your hands. A very, very solid first attack, kind of like the old Junk Hunt. You know, not quite as good. Junk Hunt lets you get 2, but just getting 1 is still pretty good. You can recycle things like Palpad, Crushing Hammers, etc. Very curious to see if this is going to be in some sort of control deck at some point. Definitely seems like it has potential to be at the very least. It's definitely not as strong as something like Oranguru or even the Excadrill that we have right now, but I could still see it maybe having a home in some sort of control deck. There is also a world where maybe like this could even be just a random recovery card for certain decks, like being able to get back things like rare candies or like Ordinary Rod. Something like that maybe. Not exactly sure. Hunger Tackle. Let's see, 20 plus 90 if you have no cards in your hand. This is actually, I think it's actually a pretty doable attack though, just because we do have things like Duskull, Galarian Meowth in the format right now. So we can actually play down our hand pretty low. Then we have things like Lucky Egg to refill our hand if we do need to. You can probably just play Rose. Rose Tower, and basically just kind of always be drawing just enough cards every turn before you get your hand down to 0 again. So I think this card has potential. I do kind of like it. Not blown away, but I think it's cool. So we got Mawile, another single strike Pokemon. 20 if heads, they're paralyzed, not too good. And then 100 damage. Isn't affected by weakness, resistance, any effects. Also not too good. So we got Bronzong, another card that did get revealed early, but this is a pretty solid card. So as often as you like, you may move a metal energy from one of your Pokemon to another one of your Pokemon. So very similar to cards like Weavile GX that we have right now in the current format, but also very similar to things of the past like Kling Klang, Hydreigon, Aromatisse, all cards that saw a good bit of play. Being on stage 1 in particular is very, very good as well. So what deck will this pop up in? I think you're more likely to see this in like a VMAX based deck. Like, I don't think you're probably playing this in a Zacian deck just because I think Zacian already functions kind of the way it needs to. But the reason these sorts of abilities saw play in the past is because we have Max Potion, and Max Potion, what you would do is you would discard all energy from your Pokemon and then heal all damage. So you would move all of your energy off the Pokemon you want to heal it all off, move your energy back, and keep attacking. And if I remember correctly, there is a card in the set that does heal all damage from your VMAXs, or Evolution Pokemon, I think it is, specifically. So if that's the case, Bronzong is probably going to be a consideration if you want to build around things like Copperajah VMAX, and might make cards like that a little bit more viable. I mean, I guess you could still play in Zacian though, just because you could like Metal Saucer, move that energy to your active, or like, let's say you attack with Zacian, it can't attack next turn, and you have another Zacian on the bench. You can play Switch, move all the energy to that one, and you don't need a second Switch card to get your other Zacian back into the active again. So card has potential. Definitely like it. All right, so next up we got Aegislash. I'm really stoked about this because I don't know if you guys have been following my recent series I made about cards and mechanics I want to return into the TCG. And for the video I did for abilities to return to the TCG, one of the ones I picked was actually Stance Change on the bad Aegislashes we had in the past. So go check out that video if you've not done so. I'll have a link up in the top right-hand corner, I believe it is for you, and also down in the description. Those videos have been a lot of fun. But yeah, I wanted to see the Stance Change ability return. Once during your turn, before you attack, you may switch this Pokemon with an Aegislash in your hand, and then any cards, damage counters, special conditions still stay on the new Pokemon. But this guy does 210 for 2 metal and a colorless, and you discard 2 metal from this Pokemon. But then if you Stance Change into the other Aegislash, which this has the same ability as well, which is really cool, during your next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks of Pokemon VMAX. So I really do like this whole mechanic that they have going on here. Now, is this good enough to be competitive? That is the next question. Not sure about that. I think these cards are actually a good bit better than the old Aegislash cards back from the XY era. But the fact that this guy only hits for 210 is such a bummer. Like, yeah, you can play Vitality Band. You can play Galarian Berserker to increase your damage output, but you're already a stage 2. You don't want to be forced to find space for those sorts of cards. You rather just kind of be able to be up and running, be able to do enough damage to knock out Zacian as it is. So being 210 instead of 220 is actually, I think, a bummer. This guy might have potential because a lot of times these Pokemon VMAX decks don't have very many good secondary attackers, and this could definitely be a solid attacker to wall against those sorts of decks maybe. So I think there's some degree of potential, and I really do love this ability. Like I said, guys, I think it really makes for some interesting deck building, and your opponent never knows when they're going to be hit with the other Aegislash. So I think these cards are cool. My gut tells me they probably aren't too competitive right now, but I still want to try them out. At some point, I probably will do a video on these whenever these do get released. So cool cards, just probably not one of the better ones that we've seen in the set. Alright, so we have Licky Licky up next. Says your opponent discards the top 3 cards of their deck. Alternatively, they choose 3 cards from their hand and discard those instead. So very annoying Pokemon for sure. And then second attack, 100, they switch. Okay, so second attack, not very good at all. First one is interesting. I mean, if you're a mill deck though, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter because you're still eliminating 3 cards from their 60 card list at some point. So either way, this is probably okay. But I can definitely see a world where your opponent's just like, okay, I'll discard 3 cards from my hand and keep my research for the next turn or something like that. I think I almost would rather just play Toxtricity, the one that discards 5. Like, yeah, I know it's a coin flip, but that might just be a little bit better overall. I don't know. I'll probably experiment with Looky Looky, but my gut reaction that it's not great, especially since we do still have ADP right now as well. So, all right, so we have Stoutland V. Definitely not a Pokemon I expected to get a V, that's for sure. So 210 HP, Fighting Weakness, 3 Retreat. Fighting Weakness might actually end up being a pretty bad thing after this set as well. We'll have to see. But Second Bite, 40. If the defending basic Pokemon is knocked out by damage from this attack, take one more prize card. Okay. Taking one more prize card has been an effect that has been very triggering in the Pokemon TCG ever since Cosmic Eclipse because of ADP. So there is a world where, like, if you actually play this in ADP, you can take 2 additional prizes by taking a KO, which is hilarious. So that's kind of funny. But then 200 takes 30. But yeah, I think the first attack is definitely the one that is the most interesting. Is this actually good, though? That's kind of the next question. You know, what would we actually play this in? I mean, probably... I mean, a deck that has energy acceleration, that's the big thing. It has to be like a Welder deck or a Rillaboom deck. I could maybe even see like Rillaboom, because if you're playing... Like, because all of Rillaboom's attackers right now are generally just a little bit shy of a KO. And being able to come in with this to clean up those KOs does seem kind of okay. So... that could be a thing. That or Welder, I mean, that's really about it right now. Or, I guess, Porygon Z decks as well. Yeah, I think the home for a card like Stoutland is very up in the air. But this is a solid attack. It's just 3 energy to do 40. Makes it very situational. If this was like 1 for 40, kind of like Beast Game GX on Buzzmosa, you know, we'd probably be in business. But big question mark for this guy for the moment. Okay, so getting down to the trainers of the first set. So yeah, we've been looking at a ton of cards so far. But we got Escape Rope coming back. There we go. So Escape Rope has definitely been a fan favorite card, going all the way back to Warp Point, the original version of this card. But just like Switch, but your opponent also has to switch as well, but they choose. So Escape Rope definitely seems good. I've seen some people talking about playing this with Spirit Tomb, and Switch, and Spikemuth, stuff like that. So this could be good, but just in general, Escape Rope, definitely a pretty solid card. We are going to lose Fion in the rotation next summer as well, so having a card like Escape Rope does sort of fill a very similar role for decks like that. So Escape Rope, definitely a cool card. I have no issue with it coming back into the game, that's for sure. We got Vitality Jar. It's a single strike card. Choose up 2 single strike energies from discard, put them back into your deck. Okay, so you can see what they're trying to do with Urshifu. It discards energy, so then Vitality Jar can get those back in deck. Makes sense. Camping Gear. This one, I remember, did get revealed last minute as well, but you search your deck for a card and your turn ends. Honestly, not sure how much I like a card like this, because you basically have to play this on the first turn of the game. And to find this on the first turn of the game, you probably are going to need to play like a high count of these. But after the first turn, you want to attack, making the other 3 copies of this card like pretty irrelevant. So this is kind of like Rotom Bike for the same reason. Good effect, but it's very awkward to be able to actually pull off. That's the issue. So we have Single Strike Scroll, Raging Scroll. Okay. So it's a Pokemon tool. The Single Strike Pokemon this card is attached, you can use this attack, but you do need the necessary energy, and does 10 plus 10 more for each damage counter on this Pokemon. Okay, so this is kind of cool. This is another card that could be used on Urshifu, I could see, because, you know, you're going to discard all of your energy, your opponent attacks into you, and now you want to be able to, you know, you might not be able to get your Urshifu up and running in the same turn with 4 energy. So being able to use something like this to just come in, hit for 200 or so damage could be good. Especially since we do have Houndoom as well. So there is actually a world where with Houndoom and your opponent attacking into, you can still do like 300-ish damage with this, which seems kind of good. So yeah, I do like this. So I think you could probably go the Memory Capsule route or play this in your Urshifu deck. I don't know if I have a preference just yet, but both of those seem like decent options, so I do like this for sure. So we got EXP Share, a lot of old cards and mechanics coming back into the game. I'm happy to see EXP Share though. So it's a tool. Whenever your active is knocked out by damage, specifically, you move a basic energy from that Pokemon to the Pokemon that EXP share is attached to. So this is a way at being able to keep chaining energies even after your Pokemon go down. So EXP share is a card that did see play in the past. The big issue though with a card like this is we are in a format with Tool Scrapper. So a more passive tool like this does have a shot at just getting wiped out from play before you even get a chance to use it. That is the downside. But at most, Tool Scrapper is going to be a one of in decks, and not every deck even plays Tool Scrapper. So EXP share, I think, is fine to come back into the game. So definitely going to be good in decks specifically that want to attempt to swarm energy in play. So think of a card like Lapras VMAX, just as an easy example. That's a card that constantly wants to keep energy in play to do large amounts of damage. EXP share helps with something like that. But yeah, beyond that, there's a lot of cards in the card pool. I'll have to sort of go through and see what might be best with this. But like I said, very happy to have EXP share back. So we got Bruno. Bruno is kind of another pseudo reprint that we're getting, very similar to the old Cynthia's Feelings. Or yeah, I believe it's Cynthia's Feelings. Or I wanted to say Felicity's Drawing, but I don't think that's right. I think it's Cynthia's Feelings. But you shuffle your hand into your deck, draw 4. But if any of your Pokemon were knocked out during your opponent's last turn, draw 7 instead. So I really do like this card because it disproportionately benefits single prize decks. Because if you're like a VMAX deck, at most you can use this once, or I guess twice if you force like a 7 or 8 prize game. Again, think of a normal stage 2 deck like Cinderace. Bruno could easily slot in as a 1 or 2 of, especially after we lose cards like Rosa. So yeah, I am a fan of this. Not sure how much play it's going to see immediately, but it is a single strike card, so that does give it some degree of potential as well. Because it is part of this whole package. There could be other cards that allow you to search out, single strike supporters. So we'll have to see, but I do like Bruno. I think it's pretty cool. So we got Mustard Single Strike Stance. Okay. Another single strike card, and I do believe this is the Pseudo Maxie's Archie's reprint. So you can only play this card if it's the last card in your hand. Search your deck for a single strike Pokemon, put it onto your bench, then draw 5 cards. So I actually do think there's a world where this sees play. I mean, we have cards like Quick Ball, and we still do have Duskull and Galarian Meowth. So the fact that we have those means that we actually, I think, could probably pretty successfully pull this off. Now, it is unfortunate we don't have something like Tapu Lele GX in the format or like a Versus Seeker Battle Compressor engine to find the supporter immediately, but I think because of the hand lowering cards that we have right now, this card has a chance. And if that's the case, we probably play, Emboar is probably the Pokemon we play with this, just to be honest, because Emboar has a very good ability, but the issue, of course, is that it's a stage 2, and we don't want to take the time to manually evolve with things like Rare Candy. So yeah, card seems cool, especially as we do get more single strike and rapid strike Pokemon. A card like this is only going to get better and better. See, Tower of Darkness. Each player may discard a single strike card from their hand, draw 2 cards. Okay, that seems pretty decent to me. I do like that. I really wish if Camping Gear had been a single strike card, I actually would probably like this, because you could discard your camping gears in the late game that you don't need anymore. But this is cool. It basically gives you trade in a stadium form, which is really nice. So yeah, I think this card is cool. I got no issue with it. And now we are down to Single Strike Energy. Can only be attached to single strike Pokemon. While attached to a Pokemon, provides dark and fighting energy, but only provides 1 energy at the same time. And yeah, you do 20 more damage to your opponent's active, and if it's attached to a Pokemon that is not single strike, you discard it. So this is basically a strong energy reprint, but for single strike Pokemon, which is really cool. So of course, the big cards that we looked at here are going to be Urshifu, also Primeape, I guess Tyranitar as well. I don't think we had any other dark single strike Pokemon that attacked. Yeah, like you're never going to attack with Houndoom, realistically. But yeah, so that's actually really good. That is going to be one of the combo pieces that can allow Urshifu to one-shot anything in the game. And Houndoom being able to just easily search those out. Yeah, I really like the whole engine they have here for these single strike Pokemon. Obviously, slam dunk of a card. Can't wait to see what other single strike cards that come out that can get paired with this. So great way to end the first half of this first impressions video. All right, but going on to the other half of the set, we have the Rapid Strike Master. So no more single strike cards. More than likely, it's going to be all focused on this other mechanic here. But here we have Weeping Bell. This is the one I was talking about earlier with Salazzle. Whenever we evolve into it, your opponent's active is going to be burned and poisoned. So yeah, this is actually a great combination of status conditions to inflict. Just because with Yellhorn, we can now inflict all three, making Salazzle actually kind of a somewhat viable single prize Pokemon. So this is really cool. Big slam dunk with the Salazzle, of course. Probably not too great outside of that. I can't remember if there's another card in format right now that does want to benefit from multiple status conditions being inflicted. Not sure, but yeah, definitely a slam dunk for the Salazzle deck. Let's see Victory Bell though. Your opponent's active is now confused. During your opponent's next turn, the defending Pokemon can't retreat. So yeah, not very good, especially since its other attack is just 120 for 3. Pretty bad. And now we have Kricketune V. This was a card that did get revealed ahead of time, and one that I do remember being pretty good. So 180 HP. Once during your turn, you may draw until you have 3 cards in your hand. But if this Pokemon is in the active spot, you may draw until you have 4 cards in hand. But you can't use this ability if you've already... Yeah, so you can only use one of these abilities per turn. So you can't do this multiple times over and over. But this is a really solid effect here. Really going to be good at, reset stamp proofing yourself, Marnie proofing yourself, especially if you're a deck that plays something like Air Balloon as it is. You want to get that Air Balloon on your Kricketune. And every time your opponent takes a knockout, you just promote this guy, draw until you have 4, then retreat into your attack of return. Slam dunk, it's basically a better version of the Instruct ability that we had on the Sun and Moon Oranguru, which was a card that just saw a massive amount of play whenever it came out. So great card here. It's a very generic ability, so it can fit in basically anything. Very splashable. Again, I think as long as you're playing something like Air Balloon or even like U-turn board, something like that in your deck, this card just makes a lot of sense. The attack, not too good, but it doesn't matter just because this ability is so good. So Kricketune V, pretty solid. This actually might be the best Kricketune we've ever seen get printed. So big thumbs up to this guy. So we have Cherrim here. So as often as you like, you may attach a Grass Energy card from your hand to one of your Pokemon, except Pokemon with a rule box. So meaning like Pokemon V, GX, etc. So yeah, this is pretty cool. It's basically Frostmoth for 1 prize Pokemon, which is awesome, I have to say. I'm a huge fan of that. So, I mean, we have a ton of Pokemon that can use Grass Energy right now in the format. I'm going to have to comb through the card pool to see what is going to be good. I know there were some people on Twitter talking about something that was like, oh yeah, there's a Maractus, that's what it was. Where you, flip and do 60 for each energy attached to your Pokemon. So you can play it with that, which is hilarious. But yeah, Cherrim's a really cool card. Happy to see this exclusion for Pokemon with the rule box. I think one of the best parts about the original EX era is that even though they had these strong Pokemon EXs, there was a lot of cards that exempted them from being able to be included in some of the stronger effects in the game. And I definitely would be happy to see more and more of these sorts of exclusions being made on different abilities and trainer cards going forward. So really hope this is a sign of what's to come, if anything. But yeah, Cherrim is super cool. Love this thing. And maybe there's a card in here or in this little mini set that will work with this. We'll have to see. But yeah, great effect there. Let's see, we have Carnivine. Very cool art. And it is a Rapid Strike Pokemon. So 30, your opponent can't retreat, not good. Then flip a coin. Yeah, so there's probably no Rapid Strike card that could get printed that will help this. Just inherently not very good. We got Lurantis. 30 heal 30 and then 70, not very good. All right, we got Bulu back. Let's see what we got. Push down 20, your opponent switches. That's fine, whatever. Then Nature's Judgment, discard all energy, does 80 more damage. That's what's up. So this is kind of a pseudo reprint of Tapu Bulu GX. I know a lot of people have very fond memories of that from back in the day with the Vikavolt deck. So yeah, you could, yeah, we actually kind of have like a 1 prize like Vikabulu deck now that we have Cherrim right now. So you just play this with Cherrim and you're kind of good to go. Hitting 160 is a little bit unfortunate since Zacian is going to reduce your damage by, I mean, I guess even after resistance, you're still going for a 2-shot, which isn't horrible. Yeah, I think this and Cherim do have some potential as maybe like a decent little one prize deck. We'll have to see. Especially if Colossal does keep seeing play, or Colossal VMAX, I should say. Seems kind of okay. We got Victini V and VMAX. Really love the art on this thing. That looks pretty sweet. Much better art than the other Victini V. But let's see. If your opponent's active is a Pokemon V, does 10 plus 50 more? Now, the real question is, do we have a way to buff this to hit for 110? I mean, that's really, I think, what most people are wondering about, because 60 is fine, but that's only going to hit for 120 on a Zacian V. So is there any card in the set that we can do or get to do plus 50? That would be great. Probably not, I would imagine, but even still, just hitting for 60 for 1, not the worst thing ever as just a VMAX pre-evolution. And then let's see, Flare Shot, discard all energy from this Pokemon. So 120 for 1 Welder, not horrible, I guess, but nothing particularly special. Then we have Victini VMAX here, of course. So 310 HP, water weakness to retreat. Has the Spreading Flames attack, attach up to 3 fire from discard to your Pokemon any way that you like. So the same attack that we have on the current Victini V. And it is worth pointing out, of course, you can still evolve from the original Victini V. You don't have to use this other one here. So that actually might end up being what you do, since the second attack, I think, on the current Victini V is pretty good. Let's see, Victory Max 100. If your opponent's active as a Pokemon V, does 120 more damage. So 220, pretty good. You one-shot Zacian even with something like Coating Metal. That's good. You can two-shot any of the VMAXs. So honestly, not a bad Pokemon that we're getting. Because really, I think the criteria for being a decent VMAX is you need to be able to one-shot 1 prizers, 2 prizers, and then at least 2-shot Pokemon VMAX. And Victini does all of that. Has a very flexible attack cost. You don't even have to play Welder in a deck like this if you don't want to. Just because Fire Colorless is flexible enough to be able to be powered up by other things. I mean, you probably do still play Welder, but yeah. So Victini VMAX, I think this card is actually kind of decent. 310. You know, Urshifu can probably easily nuke this thing. So, I mean, if Urshifu does become very good and can scale up to something like 310, that is going to be something you are going to have to worry about. But you can play things like Big Charm, I suppose, to make yourself a little bit safer. But if you can't be one-shot, I do like Victini. I think it seems like an okay card. So we got Heatmore. Flip 2 coins for each heads. Discard an energy attached to your opponent's active. Nothing too special, unfortunately. So you have a new Centiskorch. I did not know this was a card. Also, do like the art on this thing, very menacing. So as long as this Pokemon is in play, whenever your opponent flips heads for burn in between turns, that Pokemon remains burned. Okay, I mean that's nice. It's not a bad effect, but the issue is decks are playing 4 switch. Like most decks are playing 4 switch, meaning that burn just isn't going to stick most of the time, regardless. So yeah, not a big fan of this ability. And then 130 for 4, their burn, yeah, not too special. So we got Kingdra. I'm actually excited because Kingdra is one of my favorite Gen 2 Pokemon, and Kingdra always gets like very like playable or semi-playable cards, so very curious to see what this is going to do. Lord of the Ocean Depths, pretty sweet ability, or ability name. When your active Pokemon is knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack, you may choose any number of water energy, move them to this Pokemon. Okay. And then 40 times the number of water energy attached to this Pokemon. Okay. So I think the ability is what makes this card kind of interesting. Like the big issue with with a card like Kingdra otherwise is that you're going to dump a ton of energy on this guy, and then whenever it gets knocked out, it's going to be so hard to set up your next Kingdra to do any reasonable amount of damage. But you basically have like a built-in wishful baton almost to your ability, which is great because now you can just keep chaining all of your energy, and it's just going to snowball. Like let's say you have 4 energy on this guy, gets knocked out, you move all that to your next Kingdra, keep attaching more and more, and your attackers are only going to hit harder and harder the later into the game that it goes. Now, of course, if they do snipe your Kingdra on the bench, that doesn't happen. So that is important to point out. But I do actually really like this ability. Let's see, if you have 5 energy, you're doing 200. So you do need 6 energy to knock out a Zacian, which is, you know, that's a bit tricky. I mean, we do still have Frostmoth, but you'd have to play Frostmoth and Kingdra. So stage 1 and a stage 2. Yeah, I'm not sold on this. I think the attack is good and the ability is good, but the issue is that you need too many. The way to accelerate energy is too clunky. That's more so the issue with Kingdra. So if we get a more streamlined way at getting energy on this guy, then we'll be in business, especially after rotation once we lose ADP. But right now, I think there's probably too much going against this. Okay, but next up we have the Galarian Mr. Rime. This is the one that pairs with the Yamper we looked at earlier. So you may discard any number of item cards from your hand with ball in their name. This attack is 40 more for each card discarded in this way. So yeah, this actually seems like it might be kind of a decent little meme deck because, you know, if you're playing 4 Pokeball, 4 Great Ball in your deck, plus a couple of Yamper and Scoop Up Nets, I mean, you can pretty easily chain these things over and over. I do wish this was like a 50 times multiplier because right now you do have to discard, what, 6 ball cards to knock out a Zacian, which that doesn't feel too good, but we do still have, I'm trying to think, we have Cherish Ball, Great Ball, Pokeball, we have a Level Ball in the set. Am I forgetting one? I feel like I am. There's got to be, oh, Quick Ball, the best of all the ball search cards. So we have 25 theoretical ball cards we can play in this deck, so I mean, I actually feel like this deck is going to be very consistent. It's just a matter of, like, things like Marnie, Reset Stamp are definitely going to hurt you, but, I mean, you can play things like Lucky Egg, Kricketune as well, or Choreo. So, I still like this little combination of cards that we have going. Definitely going to be trying them out on the channel. We'll have to see how they're going to do, but, yeah, you definitely need a good bit of cards to knock out Zacian, which is the issue. But right now we have Triple Excel, we have Twin Energy, so we can get this deck up and running pretty easily, I think. Okay, so next up we have Octillery. This is one of the key Rapid Strike cards. Once during your turn, you search a deck for a Rapid Strike card, put it into your hand, but you can't use more than one of these abilities each turn. So, I mean, this is a great ability. We just need to find some more good Rapid Strike Pokemon to use with this. That's kind of the issue right now. But yeah, obviously seems like a good inclusion in any Rapid Strike decks. But we do have Empoleon V, another card that did get revealed preemptively. As long as this Pokemon is in the active spot, your opponent's basic Pokemon play have no abilities, except for Pokemon with a rule box. Man, this ability is such a spit in the face because I remember reading this card for the first time and thinking, oh, okay, we're going to shut off, you know, Eldegoss, Dedenne, and then I was like, oh, except for those Pokemon. This definitely should be reversed. It should be shutting off abilities for Pokemon with a rule box and leaving the one prize Pokemon alone, basically. Because you're really only shutting off things like, you know, Galarian Zigzagoon, you know, Oranguru, which, etc., which are still, you know, good, important cards, but this would be much more impactful and fair to, I think, to shut off the Pokemon with a rule box instead. But if your opponent ever has this against your Galarian Mr. Rime Yamper deck, you're just going to cry because you can't use Yamper's ability, which feels bad. But yeah, I mean, this is still a solid ability. Then 130, move an energy from this Pokemon to one of your benched. Okay, I guess. I'm not actually sold on this card as an attacker. This almost seems better as just like a wall in some sort of like Behemoth deck or Gradient deck, maybe. So it's kind of what I'm thinking right now. We'll have to see what the rest of the set's going to look like, but yeah, the 130 doesn't scream amazing to me by any means. So we have Jellicent, 10 times the amount of water energy in your discard pile. So this is actually a really interesting card because you have to play so many energy to make this happen. I mean, realistically, you need like close to 30 energy in your deck if you really want to have a shot at, you know, making this happen. But you probably Duskulls, Viridians. Like, I really wish this was 20 times. Then I think we'd be in business. But yeah, the 10 times multiplier just seems like it's kind of weak. Because even with 20 energy in discard, which is crazy to think about, honestly, you're only hitting 200. So I don't know. I'd be curious to still experiment with this card, but I think the multiplier is probably a little bit weak. I wish this was like either 20 times or if it was like 60 plus 10 or something like that. But yeah, we'll see what happens. But I'm not worth experimenting with, but not super crazy, it seems. Oh, we got Luxray in this set. That's what's up. Let's see what we got going on here. Luxray always gets interesting cards at the very least. Ooh, and he's a Rapid Strike Pokemon. So I'm hoping for good things here. Let's see, 40 to one of your opponent's Pokemon, then switch this with one of your bench Pokemon. Not too good there. Then Scarbeat 100. If your opponent's active has any damage counters on it, this does 100 more damage. I mean, it's okay. I guess you just play Zigzagoons here and just ping them with 10 damage to set up some KOs. I mean, the good thing about Luxray is that he's pretty easy to get up and running. Just because you have Coco Prism Star and you're already lightning type, so I think this actually, I think this is actually reasonable to get up and running. Just trying to think what else we'd really play with this. It's a shame we don't have E-Power in the format anymore, because obviously that would be good with a card like this. We do still have the top entry Luxio as well. That's worth pointing out. And I think we still have the item lock Luxio. Or did we lose that in the rotation? I forget. It's been a while since I've messed around with any Luxury cards. But there's still some decent pre-evolutions for this evolution line too. So I think Luxray is okay. I would be curious to see what the other Rapid Strike cards we have are going to be. Because that may or may not impact how good this thing is. But I think this has potential for its second attack. First attack, not too great though. We got Claydol. See, attach Psychic Energy from discard to your Pokemon any way that you like until the total number of energy attached to your Pokemon is the same as the total energy attached to your opponent's. I wish this was like a coming into play ability. But being an attack, I mean, you basically have to go first. And then on your second turn, you have to attack with Claydol. And you're not attacking until turn 3 with your primary attacker. So I really don't like this attack, actually. Yeah, like for Psychic Energy, I think you'd rather just play the Rotom that we currently have from Cosmic Eclipse. Or is it Unified Minds? I forget right now. But it's the one that attaches Psychic Energy from discard. So yeah, Claydol's probably not that good. Again, if this was a coming into play ability, I would like this. But yeah, just as an attack, even if it is just one colorless energy, not a big fan. So we got Necrozma V, and this guy looks sweet. Do love the art on this Necrozma here. Let's see, Prism Ray does 20 to 2 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Okay. Decent little snipe damage there. Then Special Laser, if this has any special energy attached, does 120 more damage. Okay. That's actually like not too bad, to be honest. Being able to do 220. You can use of course, the Horror Psychic Energy. Having Colorless is actually really nice as well too, because that means we can use things like Capture Energy, Recycle Energy, Weakness Guard. The issue is once this guy goes down, there's not really a great way to power another Necrozma V up mid game, because our best energy acceleration for Psychic right now is going to be Rotom, this Claydol, which isn't that good. Then maybe Porygon Z. I guess Porygon Z could work, and Porygon Accelerate Special Energy. So actually, maybe that's the way to go with this. Hitting for 220 for 3 is pretty good. But I guess the question then is why would you ever play this instead of Zacian V? I guess if Urshifu does get good, there's a consideration to play this. Yeah, so I think Necrozma seems like best with Porygon Z, but is it actually good? I'm not sure. Okay, so we got Orbeetle. I remember this one did get revealed right before the release of the set in Japan, but it has the Evo control attack for each energy attached to this Pokemon. May search your deck for a stage 2, excluding Orbeetle, put them onto your bench. Now, don't get me wrong, I mean, you guys know me. I love seeing cards that help out stage 2 decks and single prize decks. I don't think it's this attack though. There's a Cradily that we used to have in standard format, saw basically no play during its lifespan. Granted, it was a fossil, but I don't mind setting up a stage 2 to set up future stage 2s, but the issue is it's an attack. Yeah, if this was something like the Meganium from Lost Thunder that we no longer have, that can allow you to bypass rare candies, I can get on board with a card like that a little bit more so than this. I like the idea here. I like the fact that it's a way to expedite stage 2s into play, but I mean, what happens once they knock out your next stage 2s? You know, you have to use this attack again. And yeah, I start to lose a good bit of interest there. Yeah, Orbeetle, I think it's a swing and a miss. I'm not a big fan of this. Alright, so we have Marowak up next. Damage done to this Pokemon reduced by 30, so effectively 140 HP. It's okay, I suppose. Then Boomerang, flip 2 coins. Nah, we're not doing that. Not been feeling the Rapid Strike sets so far. So far, I definitely like Single Strike more. We got Conkeldurr. Let's see, 90. If they're an evolved Pokemon, they can't attack. Not particularly great. Got Minshell, another Rapid Strike Pokemon. Let's see, 20. Then spinning what your opponent's active is now confused. Shuffle this Pokemon, all cards attached into your deck. Now, I'm assuming there's going to be a way to expedite energy for Rapid Strike Pokemon. Because otherwise this attack just would not be good. But I kind of like this. I'm a big fan of Beheeyem, Greedent, even the old Excelgor from back in the day, Dawn fan. I've always really enjoyed these hit and run style attacks. And this one's actually not bad. Confusions, it forces them at the very least to have a switch or a retreating method if they do want to attack into you. So I do like this. Is it better than just playing Beheeyem? Like, which is better, confusing your opponent's active or item locking them? That's really the question here. But this is a Rapid Strike card, so actually this might be a little bit better because we have Octillery. So yeah, as long as we have a way to expedite this second energy, I actually do like this Minshell. This is actually, I think, one of the better, especially single prize Pokemon we've looked at here so far in this half of the set. We got Sandaconda. Discards the top 6 cards of your deck. Does 60 for each fighting discarded in this way. Okay, so if we're playing, like, let's just say like 18 energy or something like that. So we can guarantee 1 energy with a Rangaroo, but yeah, we'd have to play like a very, very streamlined deck here. No extra bells or whistles, just a ton of energy. Sandaconda, a couple Rangaroos, and some draw options. I mean, that's about it. You really don't have the space for anything else beyond that, I don't think. I think this card's interesting. I would be curious to experiment with this, because you theoretically do have the potential to one-shot VMAXs. But really the key is, as long as you can knock out Zacians, that's all that matters. We don't mind two-shotting VMAXs if we have to. So we just need 4 energy. I think that's doable. I think there is a world where maybe we can pull that off. So I might mess around with this. This is definitely a hard maybe, though. It's definitely not a card I'm going to endorse just yet, though. So we've got Phalanx, another Rapid Strike Pokemon. Again, coming in with the weird attack cost. So there's got to be a card in here that helps us out a little bit for this attack cost. There's 20 more for each of your Rapid Strike Pokemon play. Okay, so that's actually not too bad. Again, I'm just going to work under the assumption there is... Well, actually, how about... Let me actually check Rapid Strike energy so we don't have to keep guessing. Okay, provides 2 energy at the same time. Okay, so cool. That's all we need to know. And it works for water and fighting energy. So that answers that question we had earlier. So yeah, this makes this instantly better. You play this with probably like a 2/2 Octillery line in your deck, because you can cap it at 120, whereas Minshell's only going to cap out at 90. It seems okay. Or maybe you even just play this as like a one of. Nah, this is actually probably a different deck than Minshell altogether, I would imagine. Because Minshell probably wants wall Pokemon in play. Yeah, this card is still interesting though. I don't hate it. So let's see, we got Rapid Strike, Urshifu V and VMAX up next. So we got Strafe here. Switch this with one of your bench Pokemon. Seems to be kind of a reoccurring theme. That would actually explain the Empoleon that we saw as well, because I actually said seems like a better wall Pokemon than an attacker. So yeah, that could be good there. 100 Furious Blows, 150. That's fine. But let's see what we got going on here. Rapid Strike, Urshifu. If this Pokemon moved from your bench to the active, does 120 more. Okay, so it's basically just first impression on the old Golisopod GX. So yeah, this is definitely a very solid attack to kick things off. Then G-Max, Rapid Flow, discard all energy. This attack does 120 to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. Alright. So... yeah, I mean, I guess I like this. I think I like Single Strike Urshifu a little bit more. There's definitely a lot of ways to move this guy to the bench, though. We have, obviously, Switch. We have Air Balloon. Hitting 120 on 2 different things is also kind of good. Like, especially against, like, single prize decks, this could be potentially really good. Yeah, I mean, Galtaurus is fine. It's like Galisapod from before. Hitting 150 is a decent number. So, seems fine. I'm not as blown away by this as the Single Strike, though. But, I mean, we'll have to keep looking at the rest of the Rapid Strike support. That could definitely influence my opinion. But seems good. Seems fine. We got Steelix. Very cool art on this guy. I do like this as well. Flip 2 coins and 200. Nope. That's a big fat nope right there. Let's see. If your opponent's active is metal, does 90 more. So 180 is fine, but I mean, you're still just not... you're not knocking out Zacian V, so you're bad. Like, that's really the entire litmus test. We got Corviknight, okay. I do like the art on this. I like the green little like swiping effect there. That does look nice. Let's see. Clutch. The thing Pokemon can't retreat. That's fine. Then 190. This Pokemon can't use Sky Hurricane during your next turn. I mean, as a VMAX pre-evolution, this is fine. On its own, not a very good card. So, of course, let's check out what the VMAX is going to do here. Prevent all effects of your opponent's abilities done to this Pokemon. So that's good. That means something like Eternatus is not going to be able to scale up with poison damage to one-shot you, so that's cool. Then G-Max Hurricane 240. This Pokemon can't use G-Max Hurricane during your next turn. So, I mean, this is... you one-shot Zacian. I mean, this card kind of fills the... It hits the requirements I look for in a VMAX. You can one-shot single prize Pokemon, you can one-shot 2 prize Pokemon, Zacian in particular, and you 2-shot everything else. So, for that reason, I mean, I kind of like Corviknight V here. The issue is that, Zacian is a basic, and hits for essentially the same amount of damage, so... yeah, Corviknight's probably not good. Well, it's not that it's bad, but I don't see the incentive to play this over Zacian V. That's my issue. Unless we're trying to play like a tanking sort of engine like with Bronzong, I think that's the situation where I would prefer something like Corviknight. But if we're not doing that, then Zacian is just better. Okay, we have another Catterday Pokemon with Perugly. So it can hit for 120. So if the Catterday deck ever would become a thing, Perugly is a card you can play with it. But yeah, not a big fan of that. Bouffalant here. This Pokemon's attacks do 60 more to opponent's grass Pokemon. Okay, I guess. So I guess this is a good Eldegoss killer. When you think about like that, you could play this in Rillaboom because you can power it up and boss in the same turn. Whereas in like a Welder deck, you can't boss in the same turn that you use this. But I guess if you're playing Rillaboom, you already have other Pokemon that can do the same thing to knock out Eldegoss. Yeah, this card's a maybe. Literally just because it can one-shot Eldegoss. If there's ever just if there's a better way at powering this thing up, then maybe Bouffalant has a chance to be like a one-of. We got Indeedee, draw 2, and then 10 for times the amount of cards in your hand. Not a big fan of this attack. This really would need to be like 20 times, to be honest, guys. Yeah, just being 10 times is not good at all, especially since you can't hit anything for weakness. Yeah, so pretty bad. That's all the Pokemon. Getting into the trainer cards here, we got Building Fan. We saw this one already, and it is a Rapid Strike card, which is cool. But you return a special energy attached to one of your opponent's Pokemon to the bottom of their deck. So that's nice because we can actually search this out with our Octillery, which we were previously not able to do with cards like Enhanced Hammerage, as an example. So this is cool. Even though it doesn't discard the energy, putting it on the bottom of the deck is still impactful. That's going to still force them to need additional attachments on their next turn. So I do like this. We got Energy Recycle, one, another old homie coming back into the game here. Shuffle 5 energy from discard back into your deck. Definitely a solid card here. I have found myself a couple times thinking, man, I would kind of wish we had Energy Recycler back in the format. So yeah, I do like this. Trying to think initially what we would want to pair this with. I know there's something I'm blanking on off the top of my head here. Oh, we could play this with the Sandaconda we looked at earlier. Yeah, there's definitely some card in the format that this pairs with. Again, I can't remember the card that I'm thinking about that would pair nicely with this, but I know there's something. But, you know, I'm perfectly fine with having Energy Recycler come back. Seems fine. We got the homie Level Ball. This is what I'm talking about. So, again, I don't know if I'm just good at predicting the future or what, but in my recent 10 item cards that should return to the game, Level Ball was on my list. So go check out that video. There might be some other stuff that might come back. We'll have to see. But Level Ball, very happy to see this card. Search your deck for a Pokemon with 90 HP or less, reveal it and put it into your hand. So, of course, we can use this with the Galarian Mr. Rime deck, but even outside that, guys, this is just such a good card for single prize decks and stage 1 decks in addition to that. We looked at the... I think the Mienshao we looked at had 90 HP, is that right? Let's double check. Yeah, 90 HP, and I think Octillery did, or was it 110? I think it was 110 or 90, let's see. Yeah, 110. Okay, so it won't fetch our Octillery, but it will fetch Mienshao, which is nice. Also can get Behemoth, so Level Ball could be a good card for these like hit and run style decks. But just in general, guys, this is a great card to have come back. Saw a ton of play back during the first and second times it was printed, so big thumbs up. Stoked to have this guy back. We got Tool Jammer. Let's see. As long as the Pokemon this is attached to is in the active, tool cards attached to your opponent's active have no effect. So that's actually kind of a cool effect for a card, I do have to say. Granted, there's not too many tool cards really right now that are super oppressive. I think the only ones that are kind of annoying are going to be the the HP increasing ones like Cape of Toughness or like Metal Goggles. Those are really the only ones that I really think are particularly disruptive right now. That being said, though, Tool Jammer is still a cool card. I mean, tool cards get printed like every set, so no doubt we're going to get better and better ones. I mean, if the new single and rapid strike ones do become good, then obviously this is another way you can deal with that. Or you could just play Tool Scrapper. That's also an option. But I guess the issue with Tool Scrapper, though, is that you have to have it on a very specific turn, whereas, like, if you have a research in hand, your opponent has no tools, you end up just wasting your Tool Scrapper, whereas a card like this, you can throw down and, you know, at least potentially get a use out of. So that's the trade-off to Tool Scrapper. But I do like Tool Jammer. I think this is an interesting card. I think maybe if you're a deck that doesn't play many good tools as it is, if you already are playing Tool Scrapper, you would already play this over a second one. I think maybe that's a dynamic that could emerge. But it's a neat card. All right, so we got the Rapid Strike tool. Let's see. For fighting 2 colors, does 30 to each of your opponent's Pokemon. Not particularly great, I do have to say, just because the Rapid Strike energy is only going to provide 2 energy. So, yeah, I'm really not crazy about this one. So we got Karina's Motivation. Draw until you have 6 cards in your hand. So this is literally just a Bianca reprint. Now, the upside to this card is it is a Rapid Strike card, which means that we can search it out with Octillery. But just draw until you have 6 is not very good as a supporter. You know, things like Lily in the past were good because you could draw until you have 8 if you played it turn 1, whereas we don't really have that option with a card like this. The trade-off is you have the searchability aspect of it with Octillery. But I mean, it's an okay card. You might just play one of these regardless in your Rapid Strike decks. Just in case your hand is dead, Octillery will always have an out for you to refresh your hand. So it could still see play for that reason. Let's see, we got Mustard Rapid Strike Stance. And much like with the other one, you can only play if it's the last card in your hand, but put a Rapid Strike Pokemon from discard on your bench, then draw 5. Were there any Stage 2 Rapid Strike Pokemon? That was the issue here. I really don't remember any good ones. Because, I mean, otherwise, if you're a Stage 1, you don't mind. Oh, we had Luxray. I mean, I guess you could play this with Luxray. I feel like between top entry and just rare candies, you can probably get this guy up and running pretty easily. Like, I don't think you play Mustard in addition to the to rare candies and stuff like that, because a lot of times you're gonna have so many moving pieces in your deck that you can't really play down your hand that well. I could be wrong. Maybe you still do, and maybe you just play some Duskulls or Galarian Meowths to lower your hand size, because it could be a nice way of getting a Luxray into play, like in a pinch, and being able to do this turn. Like, there's a world where you can actually attack with Luxray turn 1 going second. So maybe. I think that will probably require a little bit of experimentation. But yeah, looking at Cheryl, yeah. Heal all damage from each of your evolution Pokemon. Discard all energy attached to the Pokemon you healed in this way. So this is a card I'm honestly not a big fan coming into the game. I've kind of spoken a little bit before about how Max Potion is a card I think would be really terrible for the current state of the game, because, you know, being able to heal all the damage off 300 plus HP Pokemon is really insane. I really don't like that as an effect. I am happy that it at least is in the form of a supporter card. So I do like that. It does balance things a little bit more. But, you know, if you look at something like Bronzong that we just, you know, took a peek at, being able to move all of your energy off a Corviknight or a Copperaja VMAX, heal all the damage, then move your energy back, keep attacking is very oppressive. Or even Rapid Strike Urshifu. Okay, yeah, so actually this might make Urshifu a little bit better as well, because it only attacks for 1 energy. And yeah, being able to just heal all of your damage off of that and keep just doing 150 over and over. That's, yeah, that seems a little bit oppressive. So not a big fan of Cheryl being a thing. But one of the good things is that most, keyword most, of the VMAXs do require other forms of energy acceleration. And there's very few that can just attack for single attachments on a given turn. Like a card like Dragapult, for example, would be terrible with this, or even like Centiskorch, just because they are required, or they require multiple attachments that they really can't get into play very easily without the help of some other sort of supporter. So I have mixed feelings about this coming into the game, but at least it is a supporter card. That's like the balanced aspect of it. So we have Tower of Waters. The retreat cost of each Rapid Strike Pokemon play is 2 less. Okay, that is not bad. That makes our Empoleon an easy card to retreat. Seems okay. Also makes making plays with Urshifu a little bit easier. I almost kind of want to just play Air Balloon though. If there's another stadium that we would prefer, I think we still just play Air Balloon instead of copies of this. But if we don't have a stadium that we would prefer, we probably just play this instead of Air Balloon, if I had to say. So I think this is still solid. It just depends. It's going to be like very specific to each Rapid Strike deck though. And then of course, Rapid Strike Energy we already looked at, works for fighting and water Pokemon, or provides, water and fighting energy, but only provides 2 energy at a time. So this is still good. It's a double fighting water, which is pretty nice. I think I like the single strike one more. Just doing 20 damage is pretty cool, especially since a lot of these Rapid Strike Pokemon we looked at attack for 3 energy. It's like, well, at that point, this isn't that great, but it still does work for some of these single prizers like Luxray and the Mienshao that we saw as well. But overall, guys, I mean, that's going to be the set. We looked at a ton of cards today, and you know, there's definitely some stuff here I like, some stuff I dislike, but overall, I find myself excited though about the direction that the game is going. You know, we saw the introduction of the rule box sort of specification on cards, and if we get more and more cards that exclude those sorts of Pokemon from effects, I think that's a good thing. So if we get some more trainer cards that, like if Cheryl was a card that excluded rule box Pokemon, that could be cool. But I like that the Cherim did exclude those. So again, want to see more stuff like that, and the whole Rapid Strike single strike mechanic is at least interesting. So just scrolling back through the list here of cards that were interesting. Obviously in the Rapid Strike portion of the set, Octillery is going to be one of the big ones. We got Level Ball. Billowing Fan is cool. Again, some of these trainers are important to keep in mind because they are Rapid Strike cards, so meaning We can search these out of deck with Octillery, which is really good. Corviknight could be good if you are trying to tank. If you're not trying to tank, it's bad because Zacian is just better. Urshifu is... Both Urshifus are actually good. I was initially a little less excited, but since we have the Stadium card and also Cheryl to heal this guy up, I do like this guy a bit better now. Phalanx is okay. Mienshao I do think has potential. Necrozma has potential. Luxray I really do like. Now that we see we have the Rapid Strike energy that can just power this guy up in one turn, absolutely love this thing. I think that's really cool. I mean, you probably do still play some copies of like Cocoa Prism and Lightning Energy as well. But yeah, big fan of this thing. Being able to hit for 200 seems pretty good. And Empoleon could be a good wall for the Mienshao deck if that's something you do decide to do. Octillery's good. Kingdra is like so close to being good. I love this card, but I hate that Frostmoth has to be the partner we play with this. Victini VMAX is okay. Don't hate this guy. Obviously, I'm a fan of Cherrim here. I definitely am curious to look through the card pool and see what all we can play with this thing, but yeah, really big fan of this guy. Kricketune V, definitely going to be good. Like that a lot. I like the whole Weepinbell Salazzle deck as well. Being able to hit 270 is really great for just a twin energy on a one prizer. Yeah, I feel like I'm saying every other card is good, which is a good sign because I think Vivid Voltage was a more average set, and this one by comparison looks to be significantly more interesting. So I'm not going to scroll through all the rest of the cards. There's honestly too many that I like to point out, but overall I think that's a good thing. I think this set is pretty exciting, and you know, Pokemon's definitely heading in a cool direction, if nothing else. But like I mentioned at the beginning of this video as well, I'm not sure when my full official set review is going to go up. That, of course, is usually when I go a lot more in depth on each card. We still, at the time of recording at least, don't know a lot of the cards that are going to make it into Battle Styles. So I'm going to wait on that first before we start getting into testing and all that sort of stuff. But, you know, I love this set. I think there's a lot of cool things in here. Sound off down below in the comment section, guys. I want to know what you're thinking. Do you like this direction they're heading in the game? Are you team Single Strike, team Rapid Strike? I want to hear your thoughts down below in that comment section. But that's going to wrap up things today. If you did enjoy today's content, of course, smack that like button, subscribe to the channel. And if you can, consider supporting Rare Candy by becoming a patron at patreon.com/rarecandytcg or picking up some merch from our online store at rarecandytcg.com. It would mean a lot. But as always, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.